The best quality ground beef for school kids. Quality and value go hand in hand. And the quality has to meet the needs of our customer. And our customers, we feel, are the school kids.
We visit Cherry Meats in Chicago to discover how food safety and food wholesomeness are ensured through every step of the food chain. Cherry Meats is a major supplier to the school lunch program.
The company actually was started by my grandfather. It was during the Depression. He had a horse and buggy, and he sold meats off the horse and buggy to people on the street.
Our products generally are for school systems and for food service use. We make hamburger patties, we make sausage items, and we also make products that go for retail use.
We demand that we bring in the best product we can get, and we've got a great partnership with a couple beef suppliers, and we do stay strictly within those companies. In other words, we don't go on the outside and try to get the cheapest product we can. We customize our suppliers into training them what we need. They make it for us the way we need it, and then we just maintain that quality throughout the process.
The quality and safety of the meat here does not rely solely on inspection. Dr. John Surak, food safety consultant at Surak Associates in Clemson, South Carolina, says that food safety cannot be inspected into a product. And end product testing is costly, time-consuming, and not reliable.
All of the inspection of final product usually brings a false sense of security. We don't normally test enough product to be able to make a decision on what is happening with a specific lot.
Our inspection systems, which were very good and have always been very good, always focused on product inspection, product control. So the biggest change, and that was important to the ground beef program, is that we learned to get complying product, it had to come from a process that complied. In other words, you cannot inspect product to comply. It has to be produced to comply. So that's where we're changed now to go to more of a process control.
They use supply chain management.
Supply chains, of course, are the whole linkage from the beginning of your raw material production through the process to the final delivery to the end customer. The idea of a supply chain management system is you're managing not only the logistics, the flow of the material throughout the system, but also is the material as it moves from one point to the other the right material in the right condition so the next part of the process can properly handle it. Supply chain quality management is a very important contributor to providing safe food. If you have your process well known, identified, and under control, you create a situation where you're very, very unlikely to create a contaminated product.
Sealed tubs of boneless beef arrive at the Cherry Meats loading dock in refrigerated trucks. The meat comes from a packing house that has been chosen carefully to meet Cherry Meats requirements. In fact, they have built a vendor-customer relationship together to be sure that all meat entering the processing system is always at the standards that Cherry wants for its school lunch customer.
It is important that the boneless beef coming into the operation be of acceptable quality, and that as it goes through their operation, they know what is happening as far as cleanliness and pathogen levels, and that they are not introducing any problems, and that the final product, as it goes into the patty or to the coarse ground beef package, is of a good quality. Low pathogens, the right level of fats, etc.
The boneless beef is lifted into a grinder. One beef product is coarse ground, which will be turned into 1-pound and 10-pound chubs, ground beef that can be used for any number of food dishes, such as lasagna, meatballs, chili, and meat sauces. More finely ground beef will be made into hamburgers.
The main thing that we want to monitor and maintain is temperature. Not only of the product, but the coolers that it's stored in, and the time that it's stored in that cooler. If we can keep anything 40 degrees or less, we're going to minimize any kind of bacterial growth.
We have a lot of long-time employees. When we do hire, we do put them through food safety handling instruction They're for the first week, they are watched very closely to make sure they do follow all the rules and regulations that we've set, in addition to meat inspection and AMS. Hair nets, beard nets, gloves, sanitary gloves, removing of all garments once they leave a production area, washing their hands when they re-enter, putting new gloves on once they enter. All this is very, very important. What we try to do is eliminate as much of the handling of the product as we can. Over the years, we've mechanized to such an extent where our patty operation, for example, once the patties are formed, they are never touched. They go through the freezing process, the packaging process, the bagging process, the boxing process without ever being touched by human hands.
Nobody
Identify what are the potential hazards in a food product. Then we design control procedures to control those hazards, either by preventing their incorporation into the food product or by eliminating through processing steps. And we implement those control procedures, and we verify that the system is working day in and day out.
Both the USDA and the FDA use HACCP standards for food. That means Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point. This has been strengthened with the ISO 22000 Food Safety Management System.
Those of us who worked on ISO 22000, we made a commitment to revise that standard every 5 years. And the object is to bring all these new technologies and describe into a standard so it can be used by food processors like Cherry Meats to improve food safety.
We do what's known as an on-site capability assessment, where an auditor will actually come out and essentially it's the old saying, do what you say and say what you do. And if you wrote down and saying you're going to do everything, we merely check out to make sure you actually do it.
Throughout various steps through the process, samples are taken into the lab to be tested for fat content and other factors so that adjustments to the process can be made right away. This data is entered on control charts, so the manufacturer and the USDA can quickly spot variances from ideal standards and quickly make corrections if necessary.
The main tools that we use now are SPC tools, statistical process controls. And what we do is we try to take all that data that we collect throughout the day, whether it's for metal detection, portion size, microbial counts, and what we do is try to take all that data and put it into some type of statistical database, which we use Northwest Analytical to chart things, and we can, by looking at those charts, we can see how things are trending, how if something is starting to get out of control, we can take steps to prevent it from really getting out of control.
Now, if we look at the control chart, and what we see on this control chart is on the far left side, we see a bunch of stars. Those are signals. That means the process is not stable. And the company, the manufacturer, must look for those causes, those problems, and then eliminate those causes.
A histogram accompanies each lot of meat so anyone can look at a record of the meat as it moves through the supply chain.
We measure the critical parameters that are needed. From a quality standpoint, that is the percent fat. We have to hit a target. We also do measurements on food safety issues. We measure microbiological measures, such as E. coli. They are indicators of the potential of having pathogens. We also do pathogen testing.
We're responsible for everything. No longer can we say, well, we're doing it this way because you told us to do it this way. Our product isn't accepted because your inspector said it's accepted, or your grader put a stamp on that box and said accepted as specified. None of that happens anymore. Our logo goes on that box, our establishment number goes on that box, and once that's on there, we are responsible for it all the way through.
One of the very important, I think, results that come out of this ag marketing service example with the National School Lunch Program is it so clearly demonstrates that taking a process management approach, using SPC to analyze what's happening every way, the good record keeping, the good logistics, transport, that you can produce a food supply chain that you have in tremendous faith in is producing very safe product and product that is very wholesome, meets the nutritional requirements of the end customer. I mean, this is the way to get this job done.